Living as a woman with a period and a hormonal cycle that makes them crazy every single month, it's not normal, it's not fun, and actually requires support and help. But a lot of the information that a lot of us women need is not out there. Today, I'm gonna go ahead and share with you the supplements that I take to help me balance my hormones and allow the ride of my cycle to be a lot smoother. And hopefully I do not kill anybody in the process. So guys, it's a fact. Sometimes periods do make people crazy. And I don't actually want to say that is the case. And I do not want to stigmatize the term crazy, because fundamentally, due to the changes in many women's hormones and their hormonal cycle, there are a plethora of changes that are happening in their bodies, which actually can change their psychology. So this is a proven thing that a change in your estrogen and your progesterone can actually have a change or impact your serotonin as well as your dopamine, which are the hormones that make you happy, that make you feel a certain way, that make you feel positive, work in your brain. And fundamentally, if you are not aware of how your cycle and your hormones is impacting your mental health on a daily basis, you are going to be left struggling every single month. Oh my gosh, I just Googled search, how many periods will a woman have in her life? The median number is 451.3, corresponding to 34.7 years. As in, if you live to 90, that's a third of your life. So the fundamental truth is you want to be able to get it together and be able to thrive no matter what is going on with your hormones. So I wanted to share a little bit about myself and my journey when it's come to my periods and my cycle and how they've changed, and how I've ended up having to implement a supplement routine that is really valuable to help me weather the storms. So at this time, I am in my mid-30s, so I don't know how many periods I've gone through. It's been like 1,000 at this point in time. It could be literally 1,000. Could it? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it is that number. However, as a teen and having a cycle when I was much younger, it was pretty normal, pretty fine, and I was emotionally pretty stable. I never had too many ups and downs, or it's something that I wasn't that aware of. I've always been quite high energy and was always high energy with my cycles. But I noticed that, number one, as I grew up and got a little bit older, my periods got a bit more painful, but also I would have times where I'm a little bit more agitated and I'm just not feeling entirely myself. And then I ended up having children, and a lot of people deal with this even if they don't have children. And post having kids, I noticed that I love the season without the period. Wow, 9 months, what? If there's any reason to get pregnant, it's literally to have a break from periods. Yeah, that's a great reason to get pregnant. Now there's a lifetime with a child, but there's 9 months of pure bliss. So after I had children, I noticed that I began to be a lot more tearful, angry, anxious, frustrated, even at sometimes having thoughts that were not my normal thoughts, right? I was like, why are you thinking these things? I wouldn't even be able to ask myself, why am I thinking these things? I would just think these things and I would have no control of who I became. I was literally She-Hulk, an Incredible Hulk, the week before my period, and then I would feel a lot better afterwards. And I started to track this, and I started to realize this was like taking a huge toll on me personally, and I wasn't able to function. And even, I'll tell you, even as a creator, there will be times where I couldn't do deliverables. I would have a contract in place. There's everything in place, and I said, cancel the whole thing, can't do it. It's done, it's over. Like, I would literally not turn up for work and not turn up for things because what was going on with my head and actually what was going on with my cycle. So I was in a position where now my period cycle was impacting my income, my life, my relationships. It was a real thing. It wasn't a joke. It wasn't just PMS. Like, I was canceling things. I was dropping checks. I was doing stuff that was detrimental. And if I was working a job, I would have 100% been fired. But I'm lucky that I work for myself. I would have been fired because I was doing it over and over again. And so I realized this isn't normal, and I started to track my moods. Mood tracking became something that I had to start doing. Then I really came to the conclusion, and I realized that it was cyclical. I was, having these mood swings, having these feelings, having these downness, having this no hope, can't see out of the darkness. Everything is black around me. Life is terrible. I was having that for like 5 days, maybe up to 7 days. And then all of a sudden, like the scales are falling from my eyes, it would drop and I'd be like, oh my God, I'm back to normal. But again, it's very hard to function and live a life where you are Jekyll and Hyde, where you cannot function for a quarter of your life. If for a week, every single month, you can't function, it is not normal and it's not sustainable. And I think that women's health issues need to be taken more seriously, and we need to be taught about this. So inevitably, I learned about PMDD, which is basically post-menstrual dysphoria, right? Dysphoria disorder. So I actually did a video about this about maybe in 2008. I'll link it down below, where I broke down the science of how this actually works based on the different phases that a woman's cycle goes through the fluctuation in hormones, and some of the treatments that I was using then. Some of it was progesterone, so I was adding back hormones to help me balance that out. And I'll also say that I do not take birth control, and I haven't taken birth control for the last 12 years, and I've only been pregnant 2 times. I love to tell people that because, you can still get pregnant. It's only been twice. It's fine. I'll survive. And so I got to the place of realizing, okay, it's PMDD and I need to treat this. And realistically, the only treatments options that were out there were, number one, serotonin reuptake inhibitors. So this is where people sometimes cycle taking serotonin reuptake inhibitors, or hormonal. So a lot of the issues that are associated with, say, PMDD or PMS is that the changes in the hormonal cycle, the fact that your estrogen is going down and your estrogen is going up, or vice versa, or the luteal releasing hormone. They're not sure what is actually causing the changes in people's brains when it comes to serotonin, but they say it could just be the fact that the hormones are going up and down. So when they prescribe new hormones, it's to basically level out the changes in hormone. But God knows how, you're going to react when it comes to that. So I decided that I wanted to really look at what are the more holistic ways that I could deal with this issue that I was having. A lot of these are based in science and also based on research. So I'm sharing my supplement routine, but I'm not saying that this has to be your supplement routine or that would necessarily help you or someone who is dealing with these situations. I'll also say that supplementing is super important for literally everyone. And I think it's really important for most women, especially if you don't have a fully rounded diet, which is full of nutrition. And I have a decent diet, but I know that I need to top up on a lot of these for my personal life. So I'm gonna go ahead and share with you what they are. And I'm sorry if this is long, but I felt like it's quite important for me to kind of share my story and my experience with this. So 2 of the key supplements I brought into my diet was magnesium and calcium, right? And actually I have this one here, which is calcium, magnesium, vitamin D, and zinc all in one. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. This is disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. It ruins my taste buds, and more than likely I'm gonna throw this one in the bin. Now the only reason why I got this one is because I was taking the magnesium pills, but let me show you these pills. These are some big ass pills you have to swallow. I think it's 2. The serving size is 2. And I also have the calcium ones, which I've actually finished. And it was a struggle to be like, like swallow these all the time. And so I bought this as an alternative, but this is disgusting. So this is going in the bin. But the principle remains the same, that I have increased magnesium and calcium into my supplements. There have been studies that have been conducted with multiple different females, including a control group as well, and they had the results that basically the suggested treatment with calcium supplements is an effective method for reducing mood disorders during PMS. And that was enough for me, that there's no harm in me adding magnesium and calcium to my supplement routine. Calcium is also great for your bones and it's great for your body, and it's especially important for women. Whether or not you have PMS or whatever, or PMDD, calcium in general is really important, particularly because women are more prone to osteoporosis as they get older. And calcium is obviously what forms our bones and is an essential nutrient that we need, and women really struggle in those areas. So that was one that I had to add for myself. So that's me discussing calcium. Magnesium was another essential. Reduced or low amounts of magnesium could be a cause of PMS. And this is because magnesium is really important for the synthesis of dopamine. Let's call dopamine one of our happy hormones in our brains. So if you have low levels of magnesium, then processing dopamine in your brain is going to be impacted. So I was like, anything that's going to help my brain in a phase where it's, battling the hormonal fluctuations can have the best optimum chance to deal with the hormones such as dopamine and serotonin, I'm going to take during my period phase, or my luteal phase prior to my period. I believe it's the luteal phase. Watch the video I previously did. So next up we have the B vitamins. This is a combination and it's called the vitamin B complex. However, I've taken B12 and B6 separately in pill form, but I actually found a liquid form that I really liked. Now, there are a lot of people who take B12 or B complex vitamins, especially if they are vegan or maybe have a slightly reduced diet. B vitamins are often recommended. Now, why I take these for my hormones and for my cycle is because B vitamins are actually involved in the metabolism of neurotransmitters. And yes, one of those is serotonin, which of course is the happy hormone. And so if I believe, or if I recognize that because I suffer with PMDD, my hormones may be impacting my neurotransmitters of dopamine and serotonin, then obviously anything I can do to improve that metabolism and counteract the effects of the hormones or my natural hormones on those neurotransmitters, I'm gonna do. And this is why I take B vitamins under my tongue to get into my bloodstream quicker. Ooh. Some people take IVs, some people take injections. There are so many ways. Right now, I've used the pills before and I'm now using the liquid supplement. Ah! Oh, actually, I've got my chewable vitamin B12, which is actually pretty tasty, I can't lie. Now, one I don't have here is actually another one that I actually use extremely carefully because it is really, really active. And I found that if I'm not careful with the use of it, I can have a knock-on effect. And that is a supplement called 5-HTP. So 5-HTP is a naturally occurring amino acid and chemical precursor, as well as metabolic intimate to the biosynthesis of the neurotransmitter serotonin. Woo! I know that's long. I want to give it to you in plain speak. So basically, 5-HTP helps the synthesis and the making of serotonin. And we're going to keep talking about serotonin. Serotonin, happy hormone. Serotonin feels calm. Serotonin, less anxiety. Serotonin, peace. 5-HTP basically helps increase the production of serotonin. I used to take it at night, and when I would take it at night, I would sleep really well, but I would have extremely vivid dreams. I would be literally like, it sounds so crazy, I don't know how this thing works, but my dreams would be very strong and I could really like engage in the dreams. And I had to stop taking it at night because I was like, I'm dreaming too much. And then I actually take it in the day, and actually it works really well to kind of give you almost like a boost of like, it's almost like, I'm not going to say a caffeine hit, but almost you feel this kind of sense of like, oh, okay, I feel good. And then you can kind of work, you almost feel a little bit energized. And also it has a really great reaction and relationship to melatonin, which is great for sleep. But I found that it just helped elevate my mood, particularly if I felt like I was feeling kind of down because of my hormones. If I could take that, I would have an instant release. And there were times where I was taking 2 pills, it was too much for me. It was just too much and made me just feel a bit like, what's going on? Whereas I would slowly dose it and take more and more to just before the end of my period. And I would not take it throughout my entire period because I found that when you take too much, your body actually gets like used to that. And then when you stop, you'd also have a crash, which is very similar to SSRIs. And if you're someone, again, I'm not a doctor, but I don't believe that if you are on SSRIs, you're able to take 5-HTP because they have interactions. I know this video is super medical. I really hope hope this is going to hit the people who want to hear this information. So then I also take my probiotics. I love acidophilus, which is basically a live bacteria, and gut and mind is all connected. So I really take any kind of probiotic with live bacteria inside it. Acidophilus is a really good one because I know that a healthy gut, a happy gut is going to breed a better result and a better mind. And I don't really have many stomach issues or anything like that, but that's because I take my acidophilus. And a lot of people talk about kombucha and kefir and all of this kind of stuff. And a lot of them I don't really like I can't drink them. But honestly, you can get probiotics and prebiotics in pill form. So I don't need to drink a whole cow's fermented udder to get what I need. I also take red clover, which is super valuable for basically balancing hormones. A lot of women who are in the menopausal phase take it. I'm not in the menopause phase at this point in time, but it's really good to kind of balance those hormones and keep it stable. It's the vegetable glycerin for me. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I like taking supplements and I enjoy them, but I do find the value in them. So I actually share that I also take iron. I've actually been prescribed iron in the past to really help with, and I'll tell you the really interesting thing about iron, that iron is a key function in our bodies, and a lot of us don't realize that we are low in iron. I had no idea that I was low in iron until I actually ended up getting strep throat, right? And then I got antibiotics to help fix my strep throat. I took the antibiotics and then I got strep throat again, and then I got another course of antibiotics. I was like, oh, it's just come back. And then I took the 2 courses of antibiotics, and then I went back to the doctor and I said, oh, I need some more antibiotics, I still have strep throat. And she said to me, the antibiotics you've taken should be enough to kick out strep throat. So fundamentally, something may be wrong with your levels. And she ended up saying, here, I'm going to give you iron. I'm like, basic iron. And honestly, after 5 days of taking iron, my strep throat cleared. It wasn't a disorder. It was the fact that I was low on something that I needed in my body. So I recognize that the power of supplements, the power of iron in actually being the best version of ourselves. And so I can often tell that pre-period, I am, potentially a little bit lower on iron, and I think I'm naturally lower on iron. So I will start taking iron to actually just help me feel a bit more energized and to just keep that in my system. But these things work, and sometimes some of the things that we're dealing with in our body are actually more nutrition based, and sometimes we really need to look at, okay, how can we supplement, how can we eat well to really feel like the best versions of ourselves. I also take Height. I think Height has a lot of omegas, and it's really meant to be a dream combo of this is all you should be able to take. I like it. I do like it. I'm actually an investor, by the way. I'm actually an investor in Height. I like it, but I can taste the excellent omega-3 oils that are in. I can taste it, and so I do struggle with the tasting, but I know it's really good for me. And when I take these, I can feel the difference in how I feel from a cognitive perspective. This is all about brain function and not something I necessarily associate with my hormones. Now, I will tell you now that these supplements I take religiously after I ovulate. I've got a really good schedule for 10 days before my period, and probably for 2 days after my period. And then afterwards, I'm just a little bit casual, besides my acidophilus and my B12. The magnesium and calcium I'm not super obsessed with, but however, something like my Height, I would take every single day. It's great to have. So I know that video was pretty long. I wanted to talk about my supplement routine. Again, this is not medical advice. However, there is a lot of research, and I'll put some in the description bar below, about how supplements can help and how they are used, and how diet is really, really important. So for those of you who maybe have slightly more restricted diets, or maybe allergies, and you still feel like you need some of these things, these could be useful. If you are someone who is dealing with hormonal fluctuations, just living life as a woman, and wants to really just make sure that you're thriving the best way you can, I hope this video will be amazing for you. I will catch you on Instagram and TikTok. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed that video, guys. Thanks so much. Bye.